Adam Smith. Good morning.
Richard,
Good morning, Daniel. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm well, mate. I'm well. I'm loving danstand already.
Lovely to see you.
And you too,
Love the
buddy.
background.
You too. Yeah. If I get out of the way a bit, you can see a bit more of that.
Look at that.
We've got a few sports covered there.
Beautiful.
Nice
Love
baby.
it.
Yeah.
And
Sorry,
in
like
the
that.
in the classic Adidas top as well.
Yeah, I've got a good corporate wear wardrobe these days, pal. So I can basically select any sort of sporting garment or rock from the top, and that is considered workwear now. So yeah, I've hit the jackpot with that. So I'm delighted.
Lovely stuff. Lovely stuff. Rich, I really wanted to get you on. There was a few when I kind of had the idea to start this podcast. There's a few people I had in mind that I know that are kind of very into sport, work in sport, and kind of live sport, and you were right up there on my list because I know you're sport mad, and obviously what you do for a living is very relevant as well. But one thing I'm really interested in everyone is kind of where your love for sport came from, where it started. What was it that first kind of took you with sport and drew you in?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. I mean, good question, Paul. I mean, I've listened to both your podcasts, the first two, which I loved, and obviously hearing you talking about kind of your dad and parents and sport and brother. So as you know, I was an only child, so I think mum and dad were sporty back in the day. Mum was a good tennis player, dad good rugby player. So I inherited none of his skill for rugby, none of his love for rugby either. For some reason, I don't know why that was, but yeah, I sort of got into football and sort of cricket through my granddad. So yeah, I mean, similar sorts of memories for you, Dan. I guess growing up, you're playing constantly. Everything was about football. You think goals in my house were the garage, the radiators, the front gates, the back fence. You kind of playing at every opportunity. You got the sponge ball, you got the leather ball. So kind of yeah, I think for me it was I got the football bug pretty early. From
was
where
your
I
dad
kind of
trying to push you down the rugby?
no, not at all, not at all. So he was like he's obviously a bit shorter than me, as you know. So he was like a centre. So he was like his nickname was like a racehorse from the 70s because he was pretty nippy.
Yeah.
So I inherited none of his rugby skill and none of his pace, as you see on a football pitch. So yeah, never kind of got into rugby, but never kind of pushed me down that route either. Kind of just I guess let me sort of find your own way. We've both got kids now,
Yeah.
yourself and me as well. Just sort of found my own way. So I don't know how I got into it really, but started playing really young. I was probably 4. And then started playing for like the local under 19 at like 5.
Yeah.
So kind of always played, up ages through most of my like junior sort of playing of football. So yeah, just kind of found a love for it, and just kind of like I think anything I do, I'm kind of either I'm all into it or I'm not into it at all. So
Yeah.
football,
Yeah.
right? I'm kicking the ball against the wall. How can I get better at volleys, having get better headers? I'm 2-footed, so I just as a kid I remember just smashing my football at the wall of the house with my left foot, get my left foot better. So it was very much like that. And I think as you get into team sports, you get loads of mates from it. You have a bit of success in it. And I look back on a few notes I jotted down. Kind of majority of um, vast parts of my life is all sport, is work, it's friends, it's social. So yeah, I think as a kid like you kind of get into that play and that team, that sort of spirit, that competitiveness. You get into the kits. I remember certain things trigger things in my mind. I remember like Everton winning the FA Cup final, me going out in the Salmon NEC kit to kick a ball about the night. Same with Swansea, get to sort of finals and things. Not that they did much when I was a kid, but
Yeah.
you remember them going to the Autoglass, and winning at Wembley and going there. And I remember, my parents taking me around to watch loads of games, play loads of games. So it's like they just gravitates to everything, and all you're wearing is football kit, same as probably you did as a kid. I remember
Yeah.
like an Anderlecht kit and
As well
gel kit.
as well as playing, what got you first into kind of supporting as a fan? Did you have like any idols that you were?
Yeah, I think like I think my dad like had two businesses, so whenever he would go away, he'd bring me back a football kit. So I remember, you remember the box kits you used to have. You used to basically buy the shorts, the shirt,
Yeah, yeah,
and the socks, and it come in a box. So I
yeah,
remember my old fella coming back with like the Everton, the NEC kit, the blue one with the sort of the Umbro one, and the white like checkered shorts. And so yeah, I kind of just sort of that was the first one I got. So from then, Everton was like my top flight team, if you like. And then growing up in Swansea, you watching them in the old fourth division, and you kind of see almost going out of business, almost going out of the league. But you go and watch them at the Vetch, the sort of like really old school ground that's not there anymore, right by the prison, right by the sort of seafront. So you kind of those things, I guess, are etched in your memory from when you're a kid. And same as you, it's like it's grandstand, it's football focus, it's match of the day, it's St. Greavesy, it's anything that's on that's football. I
yeah,
remember like the FA Cup final, the FA Cup draw on a Monday. That would be a huge thing. See if Swansea got in the third round, if they ever got to the third round. So it's like little things like that. I saw a clip on YouTube the other day, and it was basically Liverpool Swansea when they when they played at the Vetch in the FA Cup, drew 0-0, and they got absolutely tanked at Anfield. I think it was 8 or 9-0. There's like memories like that where you kind of grow up with those teams. That was probably the Liverpool era. So I was always like the other team. So it was Everton for me, kind of growing up. And then I look around the office now. I've got like Duncan Ferguson poster there. I've got like a Swansea City Caribou Cup winning poster there. I've got the
yeah,
Jackson Swansea. So everything about sort of growing up as a kid is just playing, is watching.
yeah, yeah.
The kit, same as you, I guess. And then you go to like football camps, and
I
you
think
kind of
I think when you're at kind of our sort of age now, it's the nostalgia of looking back to it that really kind of pulls on your heartstrings, doesn't it? And I think people love bits surrounding themselves in the memorabilia of it, because I started collecting sports cards and stickers a few years back, and got quite into that. And there's such a huge community of people doing that, and you meet a lot of people on the way, and the amount of people that are so passionate and will pay an absolute fortune for something that to someone else is worth absolutely nothing, but to them it's that kind of piece of a memory, piece of history in sport that they will hang on to. And yeah, it's great, isn't it? It's great to look at all that sort of type of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, my parents moved house recently, as you know. So I've got kind of all my sports trophies and all my memorabilia in like a couple of boxes behind me, which I haven't gone through. Instead, I haven't got masses of trophies, but team photos when you're a kid, and kind of
Yeah,
I was quite lucky. Growing up in South Wales was probably like a pretty big hotbed of sport and football particularly. I think the local leagues for like the adults and the Sunday league at one point. I think outside London it was the second largest in the UK. So it was a huge amount of sport kind of going on, and I was quite lucky. I kind of got shaped quite early on by it was one of my mates' dads who run our kind of local team. A guy called Ronnie Reef. So he played for Wales. He played at West Brom. He played at Coventry, I think. So
okay.
he was kind of a big influence on me in terms of he played professionally, he played internationally. So you could see this guy, sort of teaching you, coaching, and you kind of learn a lot at 7, 8, 9, 10, and he kind of went all the way up, to sort of 12, 13 months before I sort of swapped teams. So you kind of see people like that, and he was, he would regularly have sort of Bobby Gould, Jimmy Hill around his house.
Really?
So you kind of see, because they're obviously big commentary guys. So you kind of see people like that, and that's quite iconic from us, and our Jimmy Hill and people like that. So you
Yeah,
kind of see
definitely.
early on, you kind of those are some of like the earlier memories I've got of kind of Shoot magazine, Match magazine, right? Stuff like that. Imagine if you kept all of those now. That would
Brilliant.
definitely the right memorabilia to hang on to.
So when you were kind of getting into teenage years, were you kind of aspirational to become a professional sportsman? Was that
Yeah,
one
I
of
think
your
you. I think
aims?
you. Yeah, I think you all are, aren't you? I think you kind of. I had. I was quite lucky. I played for like reps teams, county teams, schoolboy teams. I played with a few good players along the way. James Thomas played at Blackburn. He was the guy that scored the hat trick on the last day to keep the Swans in in the Football League.
Oh, right, yeah.
They came back, so that's pretty iconic for a Swansea fan. So yeah, I kind of got to, it was like a Welsh School of Excellence, things like that. So yeah, it was enjoying it. Kind of get to, you get to sort of, it wasn't very much academies in those days. You were playing for like schoolboy teams, and you were playing. Then you get to like Maguire, which was like the Welsh Youth League at the time. So you got Swansea, Cardiff, Merthyr, Newport, and then I played for one of the local Swansea teams in that team called Britain Ferry. So yeah, I kind of knew by about 14, 15 years you're not going to be good enough to make it, but I thought I'm still fairly decent and I could play at like a Welsh league level, which is below the League of Wales. So that's what I did kind of. But you get into adult football, so I was playing in the Maguire Youth League. You could have one overage player, and it was the manager of the men's team that I played for. So kind of he shapes a bit of how you play. He thought I could play a bit. So you come into the first team at sort of 17, 18 at Britain Ferry as it was then. And then, you're playing against adults, and, I know you've done that as well. It's a big old jump.
Yeah.
But, you're playing at grounds with little stands, floodlights, barriers around them. So it's kind of the next best thing. So I was kind of like, right, I'm loving doing that. All my mates.
At that age, that feels very real at that age.
Yeah, bizarrely real to kind of run out of change rooms into a nicely manicured pitch with lights, referees, linesmen. You kind of it was the next best thing for me, I guess.
Yeah.
And then you kind of playing with all your mates. We win a few trophies, and you're going all around sort of South Mid Wales playing. So you've seen a bit of the country as well. Got into kind of coaching. A few of my mates were sort of playing with me. We're coaching at Swansea City. I started doing my badges, had a bit of an interest in that, started coaching the under-9s, under-10s there. So that was kind of a great couple of years doing that. So yeah, it's kind of, I think all life was, if you weren't playing, you were watching. If you weren't watching, you were training. If you weren't training, I was coaching. So probably 6 days out of 7, I was doing something football related as well as work. So, I know you're very, very similar to that. You're playing five-a-side with your mates, you're playing on Saturday. I was playing Sunday mornings for the pub side. It didn't sort of matter to me where I kind of played. Like if the Welsh League game was off for the team I was playing for, I'd be playing with my mate's team in like Reserve Division 6 in the Swansea, playing for their fourth team.
Yeah. I think it was about 5 times a week when I was playing the most. It was five times a week. So it's like a full-time job, even though you're not getting paid for it.
Exactly. So yeah, I think it consumes you down, doesn't it? You're same as me. A lot of your mates are through sport, whether it be through football, through golf, through cricket. So I was playing kind of other sports as well as that. But yeah, it was just really enjoying, where I was playing, who I was playing against, who I was playing with. And it was a sort of a brilliant kind of opportunity, I think, in terms of what we were doing. But yeah, really kind of had a great sporting, I guess, like sort of teenage years into kind of early adulthood as well. Then, you meet or you have so many opportunities through sport, whether it be sport-related, business or social, and I think that still sort of carries on to this day, doesn't it, for both of us, really?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've always for me, I never knew what I wanted to do in my life. Like when you're a kid and you're growing up, you are just playing sport and having fun with your mates and hoping you figure it all out. But you may, I mean, a lot of people you may never do that. So the one thing I kind of always said to myself is I want to do something that I love. I don't just want to be in a 9 to 5, just making the paycheck and looking forward to the weekend. I want to be in something I love. So I've always been aspirational to do something in sport, because that is the one thing throughout my life that I've known I always love. Like regardless of any other interests that you get along the way, that's kind of been the one constant. And obviously you work in sport now, but when you kind of started your work in life, was that what you were aiming to do, or were you?
Yeah, it probably was. And as I sort of jotted down some notes this morning, it's very weird that kind of I think sport has played quite a sort of strange little nuances throughout my career. So like my first job, I kind of went out to Australia after my A-levels, played a bit of football out there, stayed with a mate of mine, had a great time, came back, was like quite interested in figures. Banking sounds good, right? In those days you're writing off letters and CVs and covering letters. Get a job in a bank in Swansea. I'm playing pub football on a Sunday morning with a local pub team. A load of different guys there. A load of my mates who were sort of 18, 19 as I was at that time.
Yeah.
I'm sort of talking to the centre forward. He's like, "Oh, you got a new job?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm working at Barclays on the Kingsway." He's like, "Oh, I'm the manager there." So weirdly, the centre forward from the pub team was my boss for sort of 3 or 4 years when I worked there. So just another weird little sort of coincidence. So I kind of did that for like sort of 3 or 4 years. So I was playing a bit of semi-pro football and doing my coaching as well, and kind of just doing what you're doing in your late teens, early 20s. And I thought I don't want to be a PE teacher. So there was a TA role at my old school. So I went back there for probably 12 months.
Yeah,
probably not for me. Then I had a job in the local council, and then got seconded out to Cardiff. So I was going back and forth from Swansea to Cardiff. So I remember coaching at Swansea. I'd literally drive back from Barry. There was a set of traffic lights that took a long time to change into my training kit at the traffic lights to get back to the other end of the Swansea to coach on like a Wednesday night. And then sort of got a job through obviously my best man Yanto. His brother had a really successful marketing company in Swansea. I wanted to come back to Swansea, didn't want to commute back and forth.
Yeah.
So again, weirdly, knew Jan through football. He played for the local village team that I played for a few times where I lived. Played on a Sunday with him. His brother was like, "Look, we'd love to hire you." So I came back there. His brother used to play for Swansea. He was a professional under 18 Welsh footballer as well. Injured out with a bad back injury, basically. So went to retrain through the PFA, and now has got like an award-winning marketing company that's in 20 different countries. So it was kind of a good fit for me. So would I have got that job had I not met Jan through football? Probably not.
Yeah.
Worked there for a few years, as you know, went over with Claire to Dubai with his company.
Right. Was that a big decision for you? Because until that point, you didn't really like even being as far as Cardiff.
No, definitely didn't like being as far as Cardiff. No, we never went to Cardiff. We went straight past there to Bristol. So was it a big decision? No, probably not. I think we both wanted to travel. Didn't see it as a big thing really. We were kind of like, we can pretty much, I think, do what we want to do over there that we're doing here. I got to about 24, 25. So you've done your sport. I played done quite a lot of things I'd wanted to do then in Swansea, and thought what's the worst that going to happen kind of thing. You're back in the UK in the same day on a 7-hour flight. So kind of went out there for a holiday. Played a bit of golf out there. Thought, this place is pretty cool. So away we went. And then obviously sport, especially I think for us plays quite a big part. You join the local team. So I think I was playing for who was it at the start? DHL, I think I played for at the start. So you meet a lot of expats from that. You start playing golf. Did
you have to be really slow to get in that team?
I was fine with DHL. Yeah. That fitted me to a pedestrian pace that I played at. So so you just meet a lot of expats. You and I have played golf out there numerous times. So you're playing on some amazing golf courses. I was playing football on sort of bowling green pitches under lights. So it was a real kind of unique experience. A couple of years.
Everyone I know who's lived as an expat seems to have loved the sport they've done in teams. Out there, it seems like that's such a huge thing as for living as an expat, is being in a team. And
I think it helps you settle. I think you gravitate towards people who are similar to you in the interest in the sport. Then you start having a beer with them. You might start playing golf with them. The families get to know each other. So I think that's probably key to expat life. I mean, my 4 best friends from Dubai, I played football with. So and them, you've met them all. So and I'm still in touch with them. Sort of 15 years after going there. So I think that plays a big thing in expat life. And we're very lucky to have some great facilities to kind of play out there on the first time round. And some amazing experiences. We played against like Carlton Palmer, You know, who else? Trevor Sinclair.
Playing against them.
Played against them, yeah, played against them a few times. So yeah, and then as the league progressed and I got older, and the second time round, you know, you got Silvestre, Salgado, Freddie Canute, Ian
What are they doing out there? Just
a lot of them are coaching. So Salgado was like Spanish soccer schools. I think Freddie Canute's got his own soccer school out there. Nicholas and Elka just lived out there. So yeah, you had a lot of you know, very, you know, top international footballers living and playing out there the second time round. But yeah, first time round was because we did 2 spells. You know, you get to know people through that. That's where your business opportunities come from.
Yeah.
That's kind of where you learn the ropes of living abroad, and you know, how to register your car, how to rent an apartment, all of those things. So I think sport plays a big part of expat life, like you say. It helps you settle it. It helps you kind of transition pretty easily from it. So yeah, we kind of settled pretty well. So it was kind of a good experience for us the first time round. And then
you weren't working in sport.
No, I wasn't. No, so I was working for the marketing company, so TLC Marketing. Then I switched over to work for a local agency, and then through football, property was booming out there. So this is probably 2010 time. So
Right.
did a bit of mortgage broking for a friend of mine who I played football, his dad's company. So again, I sort of made the shift on, you know, this guy was managing our football team. He had a mortgage broking company. I think I'd be quite good at it. So moved through that. So yeah, probably another sport related job move, even though it wasn't kind of sport related at the end of it. So yeah, and I'm still doing a little bit of coaching out there, set up a little like sports equipment business, supplying some equipment to school. So yeah, kind of there was always a sporting element in the background, of sort of, you know, whether it be playing or coaching. It was then sort of doing the equipment side of things. Sort of seen a bit of a gap, as you done with, you know, quite a few of your businesses, see a bit of a gap of a niche, and kind of went from there. So yeah, well, then we sort of decided to come back, and I had 2 years in London. So again, worked for my friend's marketing company. So again, you know, London, very lucky they had Arsenal season tickets. I was watching Arsenal in the Champions League, playing on a Saturday. I was playing in like this Thames bizarre league. So it was like we were sponsored by Football Manager. I don't know if we've ever talked about this, but
no, I don't.
A team called Hoxton Casuals.
Okay.
So we played at Market Road, which is where I think Arsenal have got a big training ground now. This was years before they developed that. So yeah, Hoxton Casuals. So we were sponsored by Football Manager. So a few of the programmers from Football Manager played for the Casuals, and then there was probably about 6 or 7 actors in the team.
Right.
So kind of we go and play in Mile End, we go and play at Market Road, and all these other places, and kind of you switch on, you know, BBC One at night, and then Bradley, the centre forward, was in Richard III on BBC One. Kind of quirky and bizarre. Like you sort of
amazing.
We'd have this, you know, we'd have some really good players. I remember a lad called Jody Banham, and he'd been at Man United as a kid, played a sort of Torquay in Shrewsbury, you know, and you realise how good professionals are, because I think I can't remember how many times he played for both those teams, but he played in the conference the season before, and he's playing in this sort of like London, you know, sort of semi fun league, and he'd scored like 15 goals in the conference. He's just an amazing player.
Yeah.
And you kind of realise that. So yeah, he was always, and you know, through that, then I worked with Ali Gray, who you know, at TLC. I thought we'd done kind of 2 years in London, had a great time, watched Swansea and you know, get promoted to the Premier League. We watched Swansea in the cup final at Wembley as well. But we were kind of like, right, what next now? So me and Claire were like, right, let's go back to Dubai again for a second spell. So I was a bit unsure what to do. So I'd worked with Ali Gray.
Did that tie into Swansea getting relegated?
No. I don't think it did. I might have done. I haven't done the timeline back. It might have done, but no, it was right an eye at that point. So I was a bit unsure what to do. So I knew Ali had been in recruitment. So I was a bit like, I think I'd be okay in that. I've done account management, I've done sales before. So his best mate, Stu, who you met, Stu and Cam, they had an oil and gas recruitment company.
Right.
So again, similar to us, Stu was a big Rangers fan, Cammy's a big Hearts fan. So I said to Al, can you just hook us up? Can we have a conversation? I'll basically front the company for you out there. You help support me, train me, and kind of so I jumped into the world of oil and gas recruitment. Went back, set the company up, worked with business partners for 5 years, which was fantastic. So I had a lot of great times there.
It's amazing that you've been able to do these things just because no real experience.
No, I'd had like experience of sort of banking, I'd had experience of marketing, I'd had experience of sales. So I was kind of like, right, I think there's certain elements of that I think I'd be good at. And when you're sort of sporty, I think you enjoy a challenge, you enjoy, kind of something different. I was pretty organized. I was pretty, I thought I'd be okay at it. So
you must have had a big impact on these guys for them to put the trust into you as well.
I think that's probably sport. It's probably, you used to building relationships. You used to speaking to a lot of different people. I've been in the corporate environment for a while. I was lucky I got the opportunity with TLC, so I was in front of some fairly big clients and got a lot of good work experience with that. And again, that's through someone knowing me from sport, from recommending me to his brother, from then sort of having all those experiences in Dubai the first time. So similar sorts of people. I think if you play sport, I think you have similar interests. And the fact they were both football fans, the fact they both played. We sponsored a Swansea game together. We went to watch Hearts, sponsored a Hearts game. So it was kind of like a really good mix of the three of us. And then after 5 years, I went out on my own and did it. So I had my own company. So, but it was very much like it was sport related. Had I not got to TLC, I wouldn't have met Ali. Had I not met Ali, I wouldn't have met Stu. Had I not met Stu and Cam, I wouldn't have got into recruitment. Had I not met them, I wouldn't have done my own thing. Had I not done my own thing, it wouldn't have brought me back. So it's kind of, it's always had that, I think, that sporting element to it. I think your network is big, I think, when you're in sport. And, same as you, a lot of people through football, through golf all around the world. And there's, we could spend days talking about the kind of people we know and the people we've met through it as well. It's always been that constant for me. I think you kind of gravitate towards that, don't you?
Yeah. So then you came back again from Dubai.
Came back again. Yeah. This time with a wife, two daughters and a dog. So it's slightly different. So and I had no real drive because obviously my business was pretty global in terms of it was oil and gas recruitment. It was all around the world. I never really met any of the candidates I was placing. It was all on vessels and rigs all around the world. So kind of look back on that and go, that was pretty amazing. But again, sport played a big part in that. I was playing golf for clients. My biggest client I played football with. One day he's like, what, big man, what do you do? I tell him, Bob, what do you do? He's like, I'm CFO of this offshore company. And then you have these conversations, and they became my biggest client in Dubai. And sort of came back with them then. So I'd worked by myself for probably 11, 12 years, I guess.
Okay.
Worked from home. So I was working from home long before a pandemic kind of hit. Came back. We kind of had no real driver of where to go because Claire was working remotely as well. So kind of gravitated towards friends. So obviously Dan and Gemma very, very well. So Dan's similar to us in that loved his sport, loves his golf, loves his football. I got on well with him. One of my wife's friends, partners. So we kind of moved to a new area. Hadn't seen the place we'd rented. Didn't really know the area that well. Kind of been once or twice. And then sort of in the pandemic. So I was kind of a bit like, do I want to work by myself again from home again? Right. So I was a bit like, no, I don't. So I started sort of, didn't really have any plan again. And then I know the co-founders of the company I'm working for now, Athlete Career Transition. So I saw Andy post something on LinkedIn. They were looking for like a social media person. So I kind of knew what they did, but not really.
Yeah.
So I sent him a message saying, look, pal, I'm back in the UK now. And he's someone I knew through working at the marketing company. He lived next door to my best man's brother, who I worked for. So again, a weird sort of quirk of fate.
Back in Swansea.
Swansea, So he lived next door to Yanto's brother. So Andy Moore and Steve Moore are the co-founders of ACT, which we'll come on to in a bit. So Andy lived next door to Alec, who I'd worked for. So I knew him from nights out, stag do's, etc. So he was rugby player for Wales, captain of Wales, real big thing in Wales rugby, that is. And his brother Steve as well, same, played for Wales. numerous occasions, both pro rugby players. So yeah, I'd known Andy. I'd kind of, if I whenever we'd kind of gone back from Dubai, I'd gone and met him for lunch, so I knew him relatively well. So yeah, he sort of just puts an advert on LinkedIn for a social media bot. So I messaged her, look, I'm not your LinkedIn guy, but this is my background. I've done recruitment for the last sort of 12 years. I've run 2 companies pretty successfully.
Yeah.
I think I'd be quite good. You know, obviously I'm a sports nut, so I think I'd be pretty good at something within your company kind of thing. So yeah, he messaged me straight back. Let's have a chat. So, and I think so it was sort of like 4 or 5 days later, I started work for them. So it's again, you know, a very sort of bizarre little link to sport, the people you know, your network. He knew me. You know, he'd obviously rung up my old boss and kind of go, what's he like? Is he, in a work environment? So yeah, kind of fitted really, really well. So yeah, I just sort of I knew his brother Steve. Steve had a e-commerce business. He sold a lot of sports kit. So he'd come and stayed with me when we lived in Dubai. So again, I knew both the boys really, really well. So it was kind of a good fit for us all in terms of what I could bring to the table and what kind of they were looking for. So yeah, just kind of leapt straight in it. So yeah, it was quite an easy jump.
ACT, from what I understand, is you represent retired athletes, basically trying to put them into work.
Yeah, it's a pretty unique story. I mean, it's very niche, kind of what we do. So yeah, Andy and Steve, they both had sort of like 10, 12-year international rugby careers. So played pro. So Andy played all over the world. So did Steve. Andy captained Wales. Steve played for Wales, played for the Barbarians. So the boys played all around the world. Played with some top level players, from our era particularly as well. So kind of bridge the gap of Steve was working as a policeman, Andy, and then sort of jumped into the sort of the pro ranks, so kind of straddled both, if you like. So but they both retired out. One with a neck injury, one with a back injury, and so from there kind of went away and did different things. Kind of Andy was in property and financial services, and Steve was in e-commerce. And then Andy actually climbed Mount Kilimanjaro with 15 other Welsh international rugby captains. So all had their sort of, what next? How do I transition? I've transitioned. I don't know what to do. I'm not getting any kind of opportunities. So yeah, I mean, the boys went away and created a company to, basically give anyone who's been a professional, an international, Paralympian, Olympian, some amazing career opportunities in the corporate sector once they finish. And that could be through injury, that could be through retirement, that could be through a variety of different things.
Like, I guess even if an athlete has had a long career, they're still retiring relatively young in real life.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, depending on the sport as well. I mean, we kind of work across all sports. So kind of, since I've started, we've played swimmers, wrestlers, surfers, track and field, baseball, American football, hockey, field hockey, you name a sport, we've kind of placed an athlete from that sport into a new career. So yeah, I mean, a lot of some sports are not funded. So you're working and you go into a Commonwealth Games and you're working at the same point. Or you're doing it for the love of your sport, and that's your kind of passion. And then you finish up and very few I guess a Premier League wages and salaries, and a lot of sports are not like that. So you're going to find a career after that. So a lot of these people down are very, very well qualified. That if they're a high performer in sport, they'll be a high performer in the corporate sector, given the right opportunity, the right support, the right training, the right buddy system, the right mentoring. So yeah, that's what we do now. So work with some amazingly big clients all around the world. And yeah, we get a lot of amazing success stories of athletes coming in. And
what's the type of jobs that you're kind of putting them in? Is there something that they have in common, that you're often edging towards a similar type of job, or is it?
No, I think it's kind of we Andy and I will tend to be on the sort of front end of, we'll speak to the athletes, find out what they're looking for, what they're interested in. Some won't know, some will have an idea, some will have studied. So there's kind of a variety of different jobs they can go into. It could be sales, could be marketing, could be legal operations. So we've placed athletes in a variety of different roles depending on their interests. maybe something they've qualified in that they have an interest in, or some have no idea, and we can kind of steer them down to, I think you'd be good at this for those reasons, and kind of mirroring what they did in sport. It could be sales. They're going to be relationship builders. They're going to be quick thinkers. They're going to be good presenters. They're going to be used to working to deadlines, things like that. So a lot of the sporting attitudes and behaviours can then be, transferred into the corporate world. So yeah, fascinating business. I'm speaking to athletes all day, every day, taking them through the sort of recruitment journey.
Yeah.
To a new career opportunity with one of our partners. So we work in 30 different countries now. So we're working worldwide. It's looking at what some of my roles at the moment is talent acquisition. There's corporate leader roles. There's recruitment. There's sales. There's marketing. So yeah, a variety of different roles, Dan. So, and the companies we work with are big multinationals. So they have a lot of different sectors within. So you can normally find some really good opportunities, and they want to hire athletes for all the attitudes and behaviours that have taken them to the top level of their sport. And you harness that, you've got some amazing talent within their business from a pretty diverse background.
Yeah. Do a lot of them have agents that you're dealing with?
No, don't deal with any agents at all. So it's very much we'll reach out. Can be through governing bodies sometimes, or Olympic committees, or that mechanism. No, but we've got a big database of athletes that we constantly are educating on our roles, our live opportunities, what's coming up. We're going out on a variety of different mediums to speak with them. So yeah, it could be, I think our record is like 20 days from reaching out to an athlete, saying we've got this amazing opportunity, think could be good for it. The timing's right, there's an interest there. 20 days later, they're starting the job. So it's pretty interesting in terms of the background and some of the success stories we've had, and some of the amazing experiences that the athletes are then getting from the next stage of their careers.
Have you got any interesting stories or athletes that you've come across that you might be able to share?
I think everyone is, really. I mean, everyone's so diverse in terms of what they come from. I mean, I placed a female jockey in the States that had been a jockey for 20 years.
Right.
Has now gone into like a legal ops role, which was economics degree, economics masters. So that was an interesting one. She was a fantastic person, doing really, really well. We placed a footballer in a sales role in the UK, played in the MLS, and within quarter one, he's done 400% of his sales target. From that background. So there's various, some amazing success. We've dealt with people that have been summer and winter Olympians. Placed there, which is pretty incredible to be at the top of your sport in might be 100 meters, and then to compete in bobsleigh in the winters is remarkable. So I think everyone's got a unique story, Dan, in terms of sport and their journey and where they come from. But you're thinking that if you get into the Olympics or you're playing in the NFL and you've completed a degree and a master's or two masters, and it's pretty incredible to balance the stress, the pressure of top level sport and study. So the athletes are really, really
I think it's one of the reasons I've always been taken in by something like the Olympics, is the athletes in it seem like much more normal people rather than a highly paid Premiership footballer that you're basically watching for entertainment. Whereas I'm looking at someone who may have a part-time job along the side of their training to qualify for the Olympics, and the stories kind of gets you a lot more emotional about that.
Yeah, hugely. I mean, we're dealing with like one client. We're dealing with Italian athletes at the moment, Swedish, Spanish, and some amazing stories. I did deal with one footballer. He's played at Barcelona B. He's played like 10 times for Atletico Madrid. He's had 4 ACL injuries. You kind of don't see that side of sport then, and that your body's potentially breaking down at maybe 26, 27. You're like, well, what next? Like, I can't retire at that age. But for this person's background, he's studied, he's done a master's, he's done a degree, he's done various other courses in the field that he's interested in. So I think every story is very, very different in sport. And I think the background of, depending on what sport it is, like you say, you could be a swimmer and pretty much your gymnastics, and pretty much by, you know, certainly your early 20s,
Yeah.
like you might kind of be like, right, well, this is it for me. This is
Yeah.
what next. So yeah,
even if you're the best.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
kind of, so it's, you know, or you could be a tennis player, you know, and you can potentially go till your late, you know, from your 16 to your late 30s.
Yeah.
So it's different sort of phases of the career, different sort of, you know, what has happened. Are they just retiring? Have they had enough? You know, it's kind of like there's so many different reasons why. But yeah, to be able to then help and support them into a new career is amazing. And you know, certainly working for Andy and Steve is brilliant. We have a sports psychologist that works with the athletes as well. Odette's a former Team GB fencer. So yeah, I think it's quite very niche what we do. It's not a recruitment company, but you know,
Is there much in the way of competitors?
Not really, no. I mean, I think the business that Steve and Andy have built is very much a global business. So no one does it on sort of the global scale that kind of we do it on with the clients.
Right.
So, you know, we've placed athletes in Japan, Hong Kong, Singapore, New Zealand, Australia, across Europe, US, Canada. You know, so it's very, very unique kind of in that respect. I think that you're dealing with, you know, you can be dealing with a lot of sports that, you know, a couple of sports I've not even heard of.
Yeah.
So, you know, in Singapore, you know, floorball's big. I'd not heard of floorball before.
But I'm not at a floorball.
Yeah, exactly. So it's kind of like, you know, so you kind of think about that. You got your sort of your mainstream, but yeah, we work with some amazing people down, and it's, you know, it's to be involved in sport. I guess how old was I when I joined? 41.
Yeah.
So yeah, I finally achieved the goal of wearing a tracksuit and trainers to work every day. So that's pretty cool, isn't it? So yeah, but all that story kind of is shaped from, I guess, starting to play sport and the influence of sport throughout your life, like you say, whether it's in business or whether it's kind of socially. So, you know, like you, I'm still playing football now twice a week. So I'm still like Monday nights, I'm still playing my Vets 11s on a Wednesday. So I still love packing my kit bag. Put my teeth in, I get my socks and I get my towel, cleaning my boots. I was cleaning my boots on the weekend.
Yeah.
I've got to clean boots. So it's yeah, I think that I don't think that ever leaves you from being a kid. It's still the magic of sport in it and all the things you're interested in.
So what's the plans for the future for ACT and for you personally?
Mate, good question. I'm just really enjoying what I'm doing at the moment, I think. I mean, there's always growth plans with ACT, so the boys are pretty forward thinking in terms of the technology and kind of what next and where we go with it. So that's pretty exciting to be a part of. So yeah, I mean, I don't see myself doing anything else. I think when you're working in sport, you're enjoying what you're doing.
Yeah.
I like to talk sports. I'm doing that pretty much every day with some amazing athletes all around the world. So I will carry on doing that and help the company grow. I mean, sort of sports wise for us, yeah, just signed up for a half marathon, so I'm sort of plodding around the streets of Watlington at a very slow pace.
Wow.
Bit of golf, so hopefully get to catch up with you in the coming months. Now the clocks have changed and get a bit of golf on the go.
Definitely, anytime.
Yeah, and still just football and you know, that's, I think, still will always sort of consume me while the body allows. So yeah, I think our vets training will go through the summer, so I'll try and play sort of twice a week throughout the summer and keep the fitness up. So yeah, I think sport will continue in some sort of guise, you know, whatever you're doing at whatever age. I think, you know, whether it's I'm not a walking football pace just yet. I'm not far from it, but yeah, hopefully more golf when I come off the football pitch.
Yeah, well, I mean that's where I'm at. To be honest, just on the golf course these days. That's all my knees will allow. So.
Yeah. I've been pretty lucky with injuries. I've always had like innocuous injuries, but nothing that's ever been sort of like, right, you know, I'm out for 3 or 4 months. It's always been a pretty innocuous injury, so
I'm jealous.
Bounce back relatively quickly.
But yeah, Rich, it's lovely to have you on and
Pleasure,
talk to you. It's I mean, basically we've had your life story, and it's fascinating, and really you've kind of done loads of really cool, amazing things, and you should be really proud of what you've achieved.
Yeah, thanks, buddy. It's enjoyable. I think, like, you know, I think you're one of my first mates that have done a sports podcast. So I think it'll go strength to strength with kind of your background and your passion and your sports skills you've got across multiple sports, you'll really enjoy it. And I think once you sit down and kind of work out kind of, you know, who you can speak to, it's kind of amazing. And we'll be able
Yeah.
to help you
Well, I
with
mean,
a few people
as I
specifically.
started to think about like, oh, who could I speak to? The amount of people I thought, oh yeah, they could talk. I could get them on. I could get them. It's endless, the list of people I know. And I mean, I could tap you up for some contacts as well, I'm sure, to get.
Yeah, no, we'll be able to do that. I mean, half my notes are not even spoke about. So that's the thing with sport. You can kind of go through, you know, you can go through different elements of people you've played with, where you've played, and things like that. There's so many different stories. But yeah, we will absolutely be able to help you with a few sporting stars to come on. I'm sure we can get Andy and Steve on. They can tell you about kind of their rugby journey, which is also pretty interesting in
Yeah,
terms of what
fascinating.
they've done, who they played with, and kind of where they started, as well. And yeah, there's a good few athletes that I've worked with that we can get on to share some amazing stories as well. And you kind of see that, I guess, the power of sport from that, and what they've
Yeah,
done and
yeah.
what they've
Well,
achieved.
I mean, I'm kind of working out where to take this as I go along, but the kind of the feedback I've had, what I've enjoyed doing, and what's worked is really been about the stories and sporting stories more than anything. And so right now, that's kind of where I'm looking at. My focus is to find those stories and share them, really. So
Yeah, who else have you got on the list? Who else is on the hit list of people to speak with?
well, I've got my first guest is coming out today, which I'll be pressing the button on once I've got off this call, which is Torben, who which was all about Sunday League football.
Ah, superb. Yeah. So played together.
Yeah, so he started playing Sunday League when he was about 16 and still plays now in the same league. So
Wow, that's impressive.
yeah, so it's a long career in Sunday League. So yeah, we spoke for an hour on just Sunday League football.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. You know, we could kind of like pull a topic for us both, and I think and speak for an episode on that topic. That's the
Yeah,
thing. You can go into right detail on certain things like that, which is brilliant. And you know, how many memories of like 25 years playing Sunday League football.
yeah,
It's going to be a good one, isn't it?
incredible. But yeah, I'll be releasing that today. So have a listen. Let me know what you think.
We'll do, pal. We'll do.
Yeah, get my editing boots on.
Fantastic, pal. And you're enjoying it?
Yeah, loving it. I mean, this is why I'm doing it, because I wanted to do something that I love, that I really enjoy, and the decisions I'm making on what content to make and what to do is based on, will I enjoy that? Will other people enjoy it? And that's pretty much it. And it's just having the kind of confidence to do it, because I've probably had the idea to do this few years now, and it's taken me that long to build up the courage to go, right, hit record and start talking, because
just people speaking about sport and things they're passionate about and things they've really enjoyed to do. And I think from that you'll get great success for that. You'll get a lot of different stories, and we'll be able to help you with a lot of cool guests who are a lot better at sport than me, and I got more stories.
yeah, it's not always the best athletes that have got the best stories, though, is it? Sometimes it's
True.
the opposite.
But you can kind of get into it, and you can kind of really delve into other things of us playing together, golf, football, and things like that. There's so many different kind of stories you can get into through that, people you played with. And again, so I got plenty of them, so we can do a couple more episodes in the future.
Great stuff. Brilliant. Well, Rich, thank you very much. It's been
my pleasure, Dan. Thanks for asking me. Really enjoyed it.
I'll speak to you again soon.
Take care, pal. Look after yourself.
Cheers. Bye.
See you soon, mate. Bye.